What's up, David? Thanks for joining us, man.
Well, you're welcome, man. I'm glad to be here.
Um, so you were telling me earlier you have a little bit of a background using a bunch of recording equipment and whatnot, huh?
Yeah. I had a recording studio for about 5, 6 years out in LA. I've been professionally trained engineer. I went to school for audio engineering and been a hobbyist also for like 30 years in it. So bit of experience. Oh, and I managed a pro audio section in the Center for Guitars.
Yeah, that's cool. I trying to get all this equipment working for the podcast is really the first time that I've been trying to deal with this much equipment. So it's been interesting. Definitely a learning curve.
Yeah, man. It looks like you guys did a great job, though. You got some nice equipment here and everything's set up and working great.
Chris, you look like you're fixing to.
You're too kind on that. We got cables running everywhere.
Yeah.
You've never worked in a studio before. That's literally, it's just black spaghetti everywhere. Micing up a drum kit with like 13 mics on a drum kit. I mean, it's just wires everywhere, mics on stands and stuff.
You're saying it's not as clean as it shows up, huh?
No.
Yep.
We just make sure that the audience can't see the wires.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's what it comes down to. Yeah. It's just getting the shot. And when you mentioned drone, are you talking about like an actual aerial drone? Is that what you
for drone?
You said something about drum kit or something?
A drum kit, like a drummer, kit, like a rock band with a big drum kit, you know.
Yeah, I got you.
So, you put up multiple microphones. So you might have 2 mics on the kick, 2 mics on the snare. You got mics on your toms, your hats, cymbals, overheads.
So you were
mics.
You were working music recording.
Yes, I've done music. I've recorded some podcasts for people. I've done some spoken word stuff for like, for books or whatever. That type of stuff too. Commercials.
When you were operating out of that recording studio that you were talking about, was that in LA?
Yeah, that was in LA County. Actually, I had a little studio that was just barely qualified as being professional in downtown LA for a while. Then I moved further out and I had an actual full facility in Monrovia, California, which is like northeast side of LA, kind of in between Pasadena and Glendora.
My daughter and my son-in-law lived out in, what's the name of that? Venice. I guess that's not too far from Los Angeles, is it?
No, Venice. No, Venice is, it's in LA County, I believe. Yeah, right there on the coast. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Absolutely. We used to go there all the time.
Gotcha.
How far is that second? What did you say, Monterey? Or did you?
Well, no, Monrovia.
Monrovia.
Monrovia is depending on traffic. If there's no traffic, you could probably drive from there to Venice in maybe an hour and 10 minutes. If there's traffic, it might take you all day.
What's the distance from there to, let's say, Yosemite?
Not sure.
The only reason I ask is I thought I remember at one point when you and I were talking, you said something about you used to live in an area that sort of resembled Yosemite.
Oh, that was when I lived in Central California.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I lived in Three Rivers, California, which is like right at the foothill before you head up to go to Sequoia National Park.
Nice. Yeah, that'd be a cool place to live.
It was so nice, man. Yeah, we had the tiniest little place we were on the river though, so it was perfect, man. We just had it was actually an apartment, but it was in a little like a strip mall, but it was like old, and there was one apartment on the back side of it, and that was it. And we got lucky and rented it, and we're just able to be there for like really cheap and just live right on the river and right by Sequoia Park. It was the best.
If I was going to live on the water, it would be by the river. I like the river better, I think.
The ocean?
Yeah, than being by salt water.
Yeah. I mean, I like the ocean, but to me, the ocean seems more risky for sure. Like hurricanes and tsunamis and
I saw Jaws last night.
Wait, what'd you say?
I saw Jaws.
Jaws, yeah. You talking about the original one?
Yeah, the OG.
Yeah. It's funny how when you go back and watch movies like that, I mean, it's still a great movie, but you can definitely notice how they use, a machine shark type of thing, but sort of reminds me of the old Star Wars where Yoda looks kind of funky compared to the newer movies. But yeah, the old ones are good.
Yeah, I still prefer the practical effects over digital.
Yeah, no, I mean it's nice when you can do without digital for sure. Because even modern day digital stuff, you can still tell.
Yeah, especially like when you
Um,
stream it or something, it's just something that doesn't quite translate. It's
yeah,
all pixelated looking.
yeah, no, realism to me always looks a little better. Um, so as far as hot news type or current news,
I'll tell you what. Why don't we? Who is our guest today, Kevin?
yeah, oh yeah, I haven't even. My bad on that. So yeah, we have David Neathery with us today. He's a friend and coworker of mine. So
Neathery, but yeah,
oh,
it's all good, man. It's an easy one to.
yeah,
He's been wanting to tell you that for a while.
you said Neathery, is that what you
Yeah, Neathery.
Dang.
Yeah,
No telling how long I've been getting there on.
it's all right. Actually, I was at my mother's house not too long ago, and I found my actual baby photo from my hospital the day I was born, and the picture they took of me as a baby in the hospital, they misspelled my last name. It's like literally been happening my entire life.
Yeah,
Wow.
I feel your pain. Even though mine's not long, I get Haynes and Heine and instead of Hines.
Yeah, see, I
It's
thought
usually
oh, sorry.
no, you're good.
I thought your name was Hines, like the county. I didn't know it was spelled the other way. Yeah.
Hines County, Hines ketchup, Haynes underwear. That's yeah, I've gotten all those. Um, but yeah, so David, I mean, he told us a little bit about himself. He's got a background in recording and in electronics and yeah.
I would like to know the story of. You say you worked in California. How did you get over here?
Actually, we chose Mississippi. My wife and I were in California. I loved LA, did not like how expensive it was. And after about 5 years, it became too crowded for me. I was like, no, it's just too many people. It was like a day I woke up and walked outside and I could see like 1,000 other people's front door from my front door. And I was just like, I don't know. It freaked me out. I was like,
Sure.
I'd like to I'm from the country in Virginia originally.
Sure.
I want to get further out. And my job, I can transfer. I get paid the same wherever I am in the country. So coming from California to here was like a huge raise. It's like a 30 or 40% pay raise, even though I'm getting paid the same. Just the house is cheaper, everything except groceries are more expensive here.
And your taxes are cheaper for sure.
Yes. Other than vehicle tax.
You say that surprises me that groceries are more expensive here.
Absolutely.
I've heard
Wow.
I've heard other people say that too, which kind of irritates me. I've heard a lot of people say that food
It's a little bit
prices
strange because we're told, which overall we're one of the cheapest places in the nation to live.
Oh yes, by far.
Just not with food, I guess.
But the food for some, we're coming from, I'm coming from California too. Like the Central Valley of California grows at least 25, 30% of the country's food right there. I mean, when you drive down like the 99 in the Central Valley, I think it is, you go for like, you'll go like a ranch that's like 20 miles long. You see nothing but cows the whole way. Or if you go down some of the other roads, you see orange groves that go on the same way, miles and miles and miles.
Sure.
Yeah. So the food doesn't have to travel very far from there. So you can get
I think it's one of the strange things. Like, I get an image in my head, and every state has rural areas that look like ours, but you get an image in your head. I think of course, it's the old stereotype. I think of New York, and all people think of is New York City.
Right.
I get the same image somewhat in my mind of California. Like with Los Angeles and some of the Sacramento, some of the bigger cities. But at the same time, I know that the big national parks are there and all the public land. But it's just, we're so far removed from that all we see is what's on TV, and normally it's the big cities.
Yeah, absolutely. felt the same way before we moved to California. We moved out there and moved to LA. My wife and I, we were dating at the time. We got married while we lived there. But anyway, we moved there, and I had no idea when we got there. It's like, hey, why don't we take a trip up to San Francisco? And then I looked, I'm like, wait a minute, it's an 8-hour drive. The movies, it feels like, oh yeah, it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours
Right.
up the street. It's like, no, you got to drive.
Yeah, that's one of the things that that you don't really get a big image of on a map either, because our maps are a little bit skewed in the way they're put together. California's a
Mhm.
huge state.
It is.
Yeah,
A
it
huge
is.
state.
Um, I've only been one time, and when we went, we caught a Space A flight. I'm sure you know what Space A is,
Oh yeah.
where you can get on a C-17. Anyway, I think we landed in Napa Valley, and we went from Napa Valley all the way down to LA. But I remember thinking, like, yeah, the state's much bigger than I thought it was.
Yeah, and yeah, they do have some beautiful, beautiful parks there too. Sequoia Park and Mineral King. I lived right next to those, and we'd go up there all the time. But yeah, you got Yosemite right up the
Mhm.
street, and just I mean, so many beautiful things there.
Yeah, I got to see Yosemite, but I never got to see like the redwoods and sequoia, and so that's definitely on my list at some point. Um, but anyway, I guess to move to other topics. Anybody heard anything else about Epstein? Where we're at on that?
That subject kind of
Um,
dropped off the map.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know that it's like they've been trying to continually shut that down. So, I know people are still trying to find out what they can, but it seems like, yeah, a lot of
Well, one of the things I heard the other day, and we haven't talked about it. I know probably other people have. When Ghislaine Maxwell was talked to the other day, she also said that there's no list, and I found that interesting too. Whatever kind of deal she got, whatever kind of whatever deal they made with her, she still purports that there's no list. So
hmm,
uh,
Mm.
it's kind of hard to know what to think. You would believe that there is one, but everybody involved right now is saying there's not. Doesn't mean that there wasn't one that's in some shredder somewhere.
yeah,
But I don't know. They're saying even even the people that I look to for information, as far as I have confidence in their integrity, are saying there's not one. So
Mm. Yeah, coming from Maxwell, to be honest, I don't believe anything she said.
sure.
I believe she's in a position. Number one, she was already up for perjury before they got her for the actual exploitation of the children and recruiting of the children. So she's already lied on record. Now she's in prison, in a maximum security prison. She knows what to say to get what she wants to. So, and I'm not saying I know what's going on. I don't know, but I know that personally I don't trust anything she says because
Sure.
she's only saying things that benefit her.
Sure. It's really kind of hard on my end to trust anybody in this. I was talking with Kevin just the other day on another one of our podcasts that it's really kind of hard for me to believe that anyone, once you get past a certain level in politics, is not somewhat corrupt. Otherwise, I don't believe you can keep a job without being somewhat corrupt. Anyway, it just feels that way to me.
I see. I can kind of agree with that too. Yeah, it's like there's like a lot of backdoor deals that go on, a lot of things that happen that we don't hear about. And I think that that's part of the deal is you have to play along to get what you want, whether it's for the people or for yourself.
And one of the things that I remind myself a lot of times is that it's kind of disheartening, what we know, and that's just what we know. Uh, it would probably be a doom and gloom situation here all the time if we actually knew the level of depravity that's going on.
yeah,
Uh,
I agree 100% again. Yeah,
yeah.
I don't think Epstein was the only guy in this. I mean, we know
Oh no.
Maxwell was involved, but this goes further than just those guys. That Epstein went to prison and so did Maxwell, but there's no Johns.
Sure.
She went to jail for procuring children for sex, but where's the Johns?
Right.
There's no client list. There's no.
Well,
I think there is, but it doesn't want. Those things is being suppressed.
That's right. They've got their own private island that was visited by hundreds and thousands of people multiple times, and they were involved in this business. There's no doubt of that. What makes you think, again, that others wouldn't be involved? Also, well, I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something else, but I forgot what it was.
Happens sometimes. We were talking about the potential list, like David was saying, clients and
right. And I had something along those lines, but just
I have a feeling.
well, I know what it was. I'm sorry
You're
for cutting you off there. And Epstein is the one we know of because he's a billionaire. He's a big deal because he was a billionaire. We don't know how many other Epsteins there are. He's not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a big deal because he was a billionaire and had connections with powerful people.
Absolutely. And he also doesn't have diplomatic immunity like I would think probably some of the other people involved in this do.
Well, he had an understood immunity because of his purported connections with intelligence.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I can't testify to this because I don't have firsthand knowledge. However, I've heard from multiple sources that his connection began with Israeli intelligence and then filtered over to the United States. But who knows?
Yeah, everything I've looked at points towards that as well. Yeah, he and Maxwell. I believe Maxwell's isn't she the heir of
her father was involved in Israeli intelligence. Yes.
Yeah.
You mentioned him being a billionaire. Does anybody know what I don't even know what his business background is that made him a billionaire.
He got hired. Actually, he was a high school teacher. And I believe he was fired from the high school for what you would expect him being fired from the high school for.
Yeah.
But while he was there, he met, I believe, someone in an investment or hedge fund. It was some type of fund. And they gave him a job and he somehow worked his way into $1 billion.
Oh, okay. So he got given a job in a hedge fund type thing.
It was really one of these things where he almost got rich overnight on luck. I mean, he was fortunate to pick things that made money and made a bunch of money.
Yeah, no, anytime I hear hedge fund, and I'm not discrediting all of them, but anytime I hear hedge fund, my I don't know, radar goes up.
Yeah, I may have that wrong. I know it was some financial institution that hired him, some financial company that hired him, having had met him through that high school, I believe. It was after he had been fired from the high school. That's where he went.
I'll have to do a deeper dive into that. That almost would lead me to believe that he knew somebody in the industry or something. Connections are always a pretty big deal, I guess.
He worked with Bear Stearns from 76 to 81.
Bear Stearns.
But it said that he left under unclear circumstances, that there was unspecified trouble between him and the company, which can mean anything.
Yeah, that he could have ripped him off on a deal or just not been performing.
Right,
who knows? Yeah.
Okay.
Or it could have been like the episode on Seinfeld where Kramer started work for a business and just went in. He didn't do anything. He just went in. That's right. You can't fire me. I don't even work here.
I'm not even supposed to be here.
No, and again, I hate that the world looks at people like that, but they do. Any billionaire, all he has to do is make himself known, and he's going to be a powerful, popular person, strictly because of his money. There are, as in any endeavor, good billionaires and bad billionaires. But uh, but that's the thing that made Epstein what he is his money.
Yeah. I can't remember who I heard quote this or say this, but somebody says that all money does is just amplify who you are already.
Right.
Everybody thinks they're going to change, you know, people change when they get wealthy, but really it just amplifies your characteristics.
That's right.
Or that's what people say anyway. But yeah. So let's see. Another thing we talked about the other day, this is sort of jumping off into the deep end, I guess, but Heritage Foundation.
Oh, wow, yeah.
What can you tell us about the Heritage Foundation that you
Man, I know a little bit about. They're the authors of Project 2025 that Trump doesn't know anything about, but he's already done like 50% of their goals in the first 8 months of his presidency. And But it's a right-wing think tank that basically, does like what most of these big political think tanks do. They come up with their vision for the future of America.
Yeah, and I of course, as I'm sure most other people, I want to say that document. I don't know how many pages exactly, but I know it was over 1,000 pages. I'm pretty sure. So it's like they create these bills and these acts that nobody has time to cram, and they're just hoping to get it through. And
that part is both sides. One of the big things, and I'll criticize both sides for that. I'll be honest with you. I consider myself right wing. But I'm against wrong in any form, no matter who does it. However, both sides do that. The big, beautiful bill was thousands of pages, and it is dwarfed in size of the Obamacare bill. It was enormous. In fact, I forget how many pounds it weighed. And when it was one of the stunts that they did, that the Republicans wheeled it in and put it on a table, and it was literally stacks, reams of paper, and which means they were voting on a bill that no one had completely read.
Yeah.
And we're talking about, we go to that from our original Congresses had bills that were sometimes treaties with other nations that were 3 pages long. So, I mean, that's what we're going to. And the problem is, and granted, I get that there's a level of intelligence that we want in our representatives and our senators and that kind of thing. But when you put majority people in those positions that come from a law background, you're going to have reams of paper,
That's something that I complain about all the time is too many lawyers.
That's right.
Absolutely. Agree with that 100%.
Why can't we get some politicians that are not lawyers for a change?
That's right.
But yeah, the only, I guess it just reminds me of like anytime I don't know, you come up on a terms and agreement thing, like nobody reads
That's right.
the terms and agreement, and you have to click.
And honestly,
it's like that on steroids with
the length of those things. I think the length itself is a deterrent to keep you from reading it.
Yeah.
If we make this thing, 7 pages long, we can stick some stuff in there that they won't read, and they'll agree to it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's absolutely, they do that. I believe that for sure. And I believe that there's a lot of bills that are corporate sponsored that whoever signs it doesn't even look at it. It's just their corporate owners or sponsors, however you want to call them, says, yeah, you're going to vote for this. And they go, okay. And they just go and sign it without even looking at it.
And I really hate this too. And again, both sides do it. But there's really good things in the bill. I mean, really good things. And at the last hour, somebody pokes in a bunch of stuff at the end and hopes that number one, that you won't notice that it was added. And number two, because the thing that they're voting on, the main thing, everybody wants, they're hoping that everybody will go ahead and vote for it, even though it carries this pork for my for those people that support me, or it's going to put money in my pocket. That kind of stuff is just so disheartening, and it's aggravating, to be honest.
Yeah, and apparently, and I could be mistaken on this, but I don't think I am. I think one of the parts of it that caused a lot of uproar was, you know, them potentially allowing the sale of national park land, that
That
sort of
part, I
thing.
have real issues with that. Yes, those are meant to be for us forever,
And
for
I mean,
us to own publicly forever, to be able to our kids, grandkids, great grandkids forever to enjoy. And thinking about selling those off to turn into some kind of resorts or strip mine or whatever way they can extract money
Yeah.
out of them, it really makes me sick, to be honest.
I would imagine it was going to be strip mine. If I were to guess, it would be there's some rare earth minerals or something in the, but like fortunately that one got shot down, and I think part of the reason it got shot down was thanks to some podcasters actually. Like I think Sean Ryan and some others.
Yeah.
I don't know who actually read through that thing and found that part, but
trust me, there's no way that anybody is wanting to get rid of public lands if they're not making money off of it.
Yeah.
That's the only reason that they would even care about those lands.
Yeah.
So since we're talking about that, what do we feel about the country taking 10% stake in Nvidia?
Yeah, that's a good topic.
How do we feel about that?
And to be honest, I'm not really sure how to feel about that, because on the one hand, you want the taxpayers to be able to benefit from the United States. You know, we pay all these taxes, and so you do want taxpayers to be able to benefit from that. But on the other hand, too much government control, which I mean, we already have a big government, so there's a lot of government control anyway. But
Are we talking about the government just going and taking a part of a company?
well, the Trump administration has stated, I think this is already happening. Like they're for sure going to take well, did you say Nvidia? I saw Intel.
Was it Intel? I thought maybe I had my companies mixed up.
Nvidia would be even crazier, but
maybe it was Intel. I'm sorry.
What was the reasoning behind that?
Well, they're having trouble. They're having some financial I guess they're having trouble competing with the likes of like Nvidia and AMD and some of these other big chip companies. And
are we talking about, is it like the automobile bailout?
This isn't a bailout. As far as I know, we literally own 10% of the company. Yeah. And now I believe it's been a minute since I read it, but I want to say that either they got hit with some fine or something, and we're going to take that part of that is going to count towards it. But we're basically taking a 10% stake in the company.
Yeah, I'm sure China has done. I mean, I would guess China has done things like that, but
yes, if they're going to take 10% of a company, make it be Apple.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, why not figure? Well, I think the whole reason is because Intel is begging for help from investors or somebody, and the United States was like, "Well, here comes Uncle Sam. We'll step in and help you."
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, it's one thing if it's kind of like, if this is like 10%, like as a hostile takeover, that's one thing. If this is something that is it Nvidia? Is it Nvidia or Intel?
I honestly, I was trying to look it up and I have no internet.
It's Intel. I'm like 99.
What'd you say, Intel?
Yeah, it's Intel.
Regardless of who it is, if it's something that the company agreed to, that's a different story.
I believe, yes, they are in agreement. Yes, they were okay with.
Well, me, that's more like a business deal to me. But I mean,
they acknowledge that they needed. I mean, they're having financial trouble, losing money, that sort of thing. But to that point, I can see why the government could think that it would be useful to have a stake in that company. But I think Kevin O'Leary spoke about this not too long ago, and he said that, and I sort of agree with him, that if it was him, he wouldn't do that, because if a company's having financial difficulty, just throwing money at them might not necessarily cause them to start innovating better all of a sudden.
Well, it also makes me think also, I don't want, we've still got Congress. We've still got our House and our Senate that are going to be making rules that govern these companies. And if you have a stake in it, how's that not a conflict of interest?
Yeah,
That's how I kind of feel about it. I'm thinking like, wait, yeah, if the country owns it, then we're going to favor that over another company, and that's going to ruin the free market in that
Right.
area.
yeah, it's odd for sure. And to my knowledge, we've never done that in the United States. I mean, not that I know of. I could be
I
wrong.
don't
But
know.
Right.
Personally, I don't know of any time we've done that.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm,
the honestly, the bailouts were bad enough to me. In fact, it was floated, if I'm correct, at that time, that a similar situation would happen where the government would own part of a company or two. And again, you run into the same situation of if we're going to be legislating these things and we're going to be regulating them, uh, how are you not giving a deal to the company that you have a partial stake in? And
exactly.
no, I'm not for that really for whoever's involved, whichever side. But
Yes.
the government should stay out of private industry as far as ownership if they want to regulate. If they want to pull out of regulating an industry and be part of it, I'm okay with that as long as they're not making rules governing the operations.
yeah. The
Um,
the conflict of interest thing, I guess, is the biggest problem. And I mean, you're already collecting taxes. Well, you're supposed to be collecting taxes from every business anyway. So what need do you have as a governing body to take a stake in a company when you're supposed to be collecting revenue by default from these companies anyway?
yeah, let's shift there for a second, Dave. If you had a magic wand
Hmm.
and could change tomorrow,
Hmm.
would you? Because Kevin and I have an idea. We've talked about this before.
Okay.
If you could wave a magic wand tomorrow and
Hmm.
there's a flat tax
Hmm.
on
Yes.
everyone, every business,
Every
Hmm.
single person in the
Hmm.
yes.
would you agree with that?
I've thought about that before. I'm not in love with it personally.
And the reason we ask, and I'm not, I want to get your opinion on
Hmm.
it, but to us, it's fair because, say for instance, and I still think this is really fairly kind of high, but let's say it's 15%.
Hmm.
Everybody pays 15%.
Right.
Okay, it's a percentage. It will affect everyone equally based on your income.
Mhm.
So how in your estimation, how would you say that's not fair?
I believe there would need to be some form of rebate for the lowest earners. Personally, for me to feel like that was fair, I don't. I believe if we were going to do that, I wouldn't want to see a tax on, say, food, clothing, housing, basic necessities like that.
Yeah.
If we're talking about 15% on, just commercial goods that are not basic everyday necessities, that does sound more fair. But when we're talking basic necessities, it doesn't sound as fair to
Now
me.
I'm
For
this.
me, or
Go ahead. No, you go ahead, Kevin.
I was just gonna say for me and I mean a lot of people would probably say I'm crazy for this, but I would want to implement that flat tax of maybe 10 or 15%, and all other taxes do away with. Like that's the
Oh,
and
sure.
when I talk about this flat tax, just make it. And even though we all hate income tax, but make it just have that 10 to 15% income tax, and then forget about taxes on groceries, houses, and get rid of all the rest of it.
And I am one of the things that affected you, I know it did in
Hmm.
California,
Hmm.
was how heavily regulated. Now you may be for it. Some people are. Kevin and I probably have a different opinion. I won't say that we do. I'll have to ask you first. What's your opinion of the uh, what am I trying to say here? The global warming group. What am I talking about?
Uh,
The climate change stuff. Um, First of all, what is your opinion of climate change? Kevin and I have an opinion that really kind of matches each other. But again, I started off this conversation to say you guys were heavily regulated, like in the automobile fuel industry.
Hmm.
You were paying huge taxes on things in California. How do you feel about that?
I honestly, We paid a lot for gas out there. It was very high. There's higher taxes out there for
But you're
everything.
paying almost double what we are.
Yes, absolutely. The tax, that's honestly one of the reasons I moved here was for the tax breaks. I'm giving up a lot of the service I had there, a lot of there's just it's better maintained and there's, better things to go and see. But it is much cheaper here. My dollar goes much further. So personally, I moved here and I can now afford to go back to California whenever I want and do things I couldn't afford to do when I lived there.
When you move, first of all, how long ago did you move?
It's been 6 years.
All right. When you moved, I guess let me ask you this: what was your breaking point? And you were like, "This is it. We're leaving."
Uh, there wasn't really a breaking point, I guess. I don't, I don't know. We left LA, we moved to the Central Valley, and I just didn't feel comfortable there. It just wasn't home to me. It's desert and it just
First
didn't
off,
feel
let
good.
me ask you here: moving where you did out to the valley, did that affect your how much you had to pay?
It was cheaper than LA. It
Okay.
is,
All right.
considerably cheaper than LA. Still more expensive than here, by far, but it is cheaper there.
Did I hear you right just a minute ago when you said it was like a 40% raise when you moved over here?
I would say 30 to 40%. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that's
It
pretty
was
big.
just the taxes alone. What do we pay here? Like 10%, 5%? I forget.
You mean on goods?
State,
It's
no,
the
no, on state income tax.
It's low.
Oh.
It's the state. I
Well,
don't
but
know
we're-
exactly what it is.
We're actually doing away with the state income tax.
Yeah,
Okay.
over time,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's at least half here what it is there, or at least double there what
Gotcha.
it is here. Yeah. I said the only tax that's more expensive here was car tax if you have a car within 5 years old. They hit you pretty hard here for a new car. I
yeah.
wound up my car was in that window when I first moved here, and, like, the first couple years, I was paying, like, triple the car tax I pay
Oh, yeah.
here, it's like $300 a month versus $100 a month or
Yeah, we
year,
happen-
I mean.
We happen to be one of those states where your tag is based on the value of your car.
Yeah.
So, and like I
means
think
they can get pretty ridiculously high.
right.
Yeah.
And we
Same
have
with
some people.
insurance.
Yeah, we have some people in Mississippi that also own land, like for instance, in Tennessee. Tennessee tags cost $25. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the price of your car.
It'd be
So
nice.
some people have a Tennessee tag even though they live here because they get it based on their property in another state.
Mhm.
But
Huh.
it is nothing to have $1,000 tag here, and that is an expensive tag.
Yes.
Yeah. And then too, even though we are doing away with the state income tax over time, one thing that they did was that we didn't have before is now we have a fuel tax that we
Right.
didn't have before. So what's going to offset what? It's hard to tell right now, but it's always like,
Yeah, they have to get the budget from somewhere.
yeah,
It's like
moving stuff.
it's a shell game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things, and we can get into that area too if you want to. What is your opinion on because really the only reason most states take in money or take in the amount of money is because of entitlements.
Mhm.
Now, Kevin and I again have discussed this before. We're never for taking money and not spending it on the most vulnerable that we have,
Okay.
as long as it's legitimate.
Right.
But you and I both know that there's tremendous fraud in those areas. How do you feel about that?
Every time I've looked for that, the numbers of fraud have been really low. It depends on what entitlement you're talking about.
Well, for instance, I'll give you a number. Now, this was a number of years ago. It's probably higher now. But over half of our state, and this is Mississippi, over half of our state is fully funded by the government. I'm talking housing, food, everything.
Yeah, we're one of the poorest states in the country for sure.
How do you feel about that as far as because we know I personally do not believe that over half of the state is not able to work.
Okay.
Um, I'm not for helping people that need help. However, I feel like you've got to at least attempt to pull your weight in that as far as being employed, that kind of
Mhm.
thing.
Okay.
Do you agree?
Sure. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, we make our own way. Sure.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that I've known of several situations in the past. I'm not gonna get into what it was or who it was, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But when you're asked to report on things that determine how much money, how much funding you get from the government,
Mhm.
there's easy ways to lie on that. And I feel like there's a good bit of that going on.
Okay.
People not reporting in, you're supposed to, for number one, you're supposed to report all the income of the household that you live in.
Mhm.
That's not being done. I know
Okay.
that's not being done in
Yeah.
several cases that I know of.
Okay.
Um, Not reporting income that you actually make. If you're getting paid by cash, there's no way, unless somebody investigates you, they're
Yeah.
not going to find that out. Um, and again,
Against
moral
people
standpoint,
performing any form of fraud.
sure, sure,
I'm
sure,
100%
sure.
against that. I'm not saying F,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, sure,
yeah, but I personally don't know of that happening. I'm sure it does. Don't get me wrong. I
sure.
have no clue to the extent
Yeah,
of it though,
right,
and that's I mean that would be handled by the state or federal government. Whoever's handing out the money, they should have some sort of auditing process for that.
sure,
Yeah. But like with these kind of issues, when I'm looking at where the money is going, big money's all going to the top. I'm not worried about the little guys. They're like 20th place on the list. Like, why don't we go after the big, you know, where the most money goes to,
sure. Well,
if we're worried about our tax dollars, like to me, I would, a couple of people getting over in Mississippi isn't as big a deal to me as billions of dollars not being paid in taxes by the corporations or the richest people in our country. The people who benefit the most from our labor and our infrastructure also paid the least in to help it, you know?
sure. I'm not, I don't know how you feel about this. I think that the thought process with our state government was if we give Amazon a break
Mhm.
and they come in and build a big warehouse like they did,
Mhm.
that it will provide jobs that the community needs. Okay. Well, I, I guess I can ask it this way. Do you think that the benefits from that outweigh not or outweigh cutting Amazon a break on taxes?
Personally, I don't think so. I'd like to see the numbers before I would like fully officially say it,
Right,
but
right.
I don't see how that's benefiting the state, to be honest. Also, they're building a big data
Data
center here
centers, yeah,
now.
that's fair.
And so if you live in this area, your electric bill's going to go up. Your water bill's going to go up. You're going to see them pulling a lot of groundwater out of the water for a data center, and I don't know how many jobs that's gonna make for local people. Are they just gonna hire a bunch of H-1Bs to do the technical work and just use locals for, like, the custodial staff, or security or something? Like, is it actually making jobs for Mississippi? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, there
David,
were
if you don't mind, explain to the audience a little bit more about the H-1B thing.
Well, I mean, the H-1B is the visa that we use for people coming over for certain types of work. I know they use it a lot in the tech industry, um, and it's an interesting thing because we're trying to run immigrants out of our country now. Which, if someone's here illegally, I have no problem with them being deported. That's if they're here illegally. I think we should do it sanely, calmly. I think we should do it with due process. I don't think we should just snatch someone off the streets because if we don't have due process, we don't know if you're illegal or not. There should be some kind of a trial or something. But we're moving out, say, lower paid workers or immigrants from our country, and then they're going to supplement a lot of this tech work with H-1B visa type people. And it's almost like a form of indentured servitude because if the job doesn't, they can pay you less than they would pay an American to do the job with the same skills and training. And if you don't do what they tell you to do, if you're not a perfect employee, then they can just say, "Oh,
Let you
you
go at
gotta
will.
go. You gotta go
Yeah.
back to your country now. So you've moved your whole family over here. You're here," and they just say, "Tough luck, buddy. You know, you gotta go back."
Would
So
you
OSHA, sorry, but OSHA doesn't apply for them,
I don't OSHA.
or is it OSHA? Whoever like is in charge of the employment.
No, OSHA has to do with like
That's
the
safety.
workplace safety and safety hazards, I believe. Yeah. I don't believe there's anyone that protects H-1B visa holders. I'm not sure though. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know on that one either. If there's some act or organization that uh serves on their behalf, but
I would guess they would have to use the normal immigration process, but
I'll
apply like you're applying for a visa, but it would be like a work visa, but specialized.
you uh I guess I should ask it this way. Do you and there's nothing behind this. I'm just
Yeah.
asking. If someone were to ask you about your political leanings, how would you say you are? Would you say you are left? You lean left, or
I
you're?
I do lean left.
I got you.
Absolutely, yes.
Cool.
But I am also lean to freedom.
Sure, sure, sure,
I am all for the Second Amendment, the First Amendment. I'm all for it. 100%. I have no issues with anyone that doesn't treat me poorly.
sure.
I could not care less.
And one of the reasons I ask is you are one of the first people. I assumed from our conversation that you lean left.
Mhm.
You're one of the first people who leans left, who I have heard say that if you're here illegally, you should be deported. I appreciate that. I
Oh,
do. Um, uh, you are one of the people that I would have interacted with when I was a lot younger.
mm.
That you are an old school liberal to me, as far as
like
being reasonable about things. How would you characterize the current climate of the left today, as far as uh,
Well, there's the real left and there's the left you see on TV. Um, let's not kid ourselves about the media. There's like 5 people that own all the news companies,
yeah,
and they're all right-wing
sure,
billionaires
sure,
there. So a lot of what you see from the left is like they've been doing this for years. Oh, the kids with the cat boxes, and they force this like the trans issue, and these are issues, and I do feel for these people. I want them to be happy and comfortable in the world. Everyone belongs here, man. As long as you don't hurt people, you belong here. But they blow up these tiny little issues to make every liberal look like they're insane. And it's ridiculous. Like, with the gender changing children, like I've never heard of anyone in real life doing that. Now I'm sure it's happened, but I've never heard of anyone doing that. This isn't like a thing that happens every day or like, there's just so many little issues that they try and make the left look crazy. I'll also say I don't consider myself a Democrat. I have voted with the Democrats many times, but I don't. The Democrats to me are just nicer, like right wing now. That's all they are. It's a different flavor of the same corporate brand to me. And I'm not a big fan of either side personally, but I still have to lean left and I can go with that.
sure, sure. It's kind of hard these days, as far as at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what side of the issue you're on. You're only going to have one of two choices.
Mhm.
Uh, and I say one of two choices. Sometimes there are probably people that run that you feel comfortable voting for, but they're not going to be elected.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to either a Democrat or a Republican choice, and that's what we're kind of left with.
Yeah. And they're
Um,
both bought and paid for by the same
oh,
people
sure, sure,
usually,
sure.
usually.
And that's what, I kind of feel like our country has come to, it and there's really in my estimation, it's such a big beast that there's no fixing it.
Mhm.
How do you feel about that?
Fixing what?
The current system the way it is, I don't think there's really any way
Um,
of getting around
I
what the way
mean,
it is, you
it
know?
that I think it would be a tall order.
Sure,
Personally, I think what could fix our government, at least make it better, is money out of politics. I don't think that corporations should be able to donate to political candidates. I don't think Elon Musk should be able to threaten any candidate and say, I'll primary you with all my money if you don't do what I say, you know?
Speaking of that, what's that act that we talked about that removed the campaign donation limit
Oh,
the other day?
Citizens United. That
Citizens
was a
United.
Supreme Court decision. I think it was People's United versus United States, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember what year that happened, but that I'm sure has caused major problems, or a lot of the problems that we have today probably stem from that.
Yeah, it removed like limits for corporate donations, which it's just insane to me. Like the amount of money, because now money wins elections, not campaign or not actual policies, none of that. It's money wins elections.
sure,
So it's like we were talking about earlier about how everyone's kind of compromised. Well, they are, because if you want to get elected, you got to have millions of dollars, and if you don't have that laying around, you got to find somebody that's willing to put it up for you, or you will never get elected.
sure,
You could have the best intentions in the world, but you still owe somebody when you get where want to be.
sure. Kevin, if you don't mind, I know that we had talked about this in the past. Guests that we have on,
Mhm.
we are mainly a, uh
Personal finance
yeah,
expert
yeah, yeah, finance type podcast.
or
Yes.
business.
Your idea of how to manage your money, when you, were first taught that, or actually, were you taught that, and who taught you how to take care of your money?
I actually had to learn that the hard way. Yes. Yeah, I grew up in a fairly poor house, so there wasn't a whole lot of money to learn how to use money, and I was pretty wild as a kid. So but then as an adult, I figured out how to use my money better, and
Sure, sure.
yeah.
Is there anything that you learned even into your adult years that you think is something that helps you manage it better? We like to ask that too. Is there, are there any tips and tricks that you're like, this is helping me get along better. This is, I'm going to make sure I have this amount of money in the bank, or I'm going to make sure that I do this. Do you have
But
like an
that's kind of the
emergency fund,
deal.
that kind of thing?
Yeah, I have an emergency fund and goals. You got to have goals. I
Sure,
think that's the key to all of it. If you don't have a plan, then you're just doing whatever. So, I mean, that's like the key to everything. There's different strategies that'll work for everybody, but yeah, I think you just having a plan is the most important part and sticking to it.
sure. Are you invested?
Not a lot.
Gotcha.
I have a decent 401k, and I own a couple of properties. I have a rental property, and I got another property that's going to probably be a rental property in a couple of years.
Sure,
Yeah. So, personally, like right now, and this gets to another topic I want to bring up, but first, like right now, at least the last few years, I felt safer in real estate than in the market.
sure,
I personally, the real estate works better for me. I feel I when I'm in the market, I'm not good at sticking to a plan. I let my emotions take over. Oh no, I'm down. Oh, I've got to just sell
Yeah,
now. But with real estate, it's like, no, I own that. I can see it. I look at it. I can go and cut the grass, and it'll be
sure.
there tomorrow, 10 years from now, 100 years from now. Even
yeah.
if the value changes, it's still there.
Those and property prices fluctuate a little bit, but not nearly as much as equity prices go all over the place, and you can drive yourself crazy sitting there watching them all day tick up and down.
But
And
that was one thing I wanted to ask you guys, though I'm still thinking about it. So we're in a weird place right now, and I wanted you guys' take on this. The stock market is high and gold is high. they're not usually high at the same time.
Yeah, it's
What
unusual.
do you guys have any insight on that?
Um, I've actually, yeah, it's like you said. As far as I can tell, it's somewhat unprecedented. I don't know that it's ever happened like this before. Typically, from what I see, gold tends to move higher if stocks go lower, or like the more fear that there is in the economy, gold tends to do well. But right now, yeah, you've had, well, today was a drop in the market, but up until today, typically you've had equity prices rising, like David said, along with gold. Um, which is, yeah, it's unusual. I don't think I know why, and I would like to know why, but I I
I
don't think I know why.
I don't know a lot. I know a little bit, but I don't know a lot about the tech industry. Is gold used much in the tech industry?
Yeah,
Absolutely,
that
yes.
might actually be
Yes.
part of it.
I
Most
started to say if there's something, if it just happens to be at a time now where they're having to use a lot in the tech industry and our economy is doing good, it kind of seems like that could be a reason. But I
That
don't know much about how much they use.
that could be
yes.
part of it. Electronics, if I'm not mistaken, they use gold in a lot of
All
electronics or
most electronics have gold, silver, sometimes
copper.
palladium, tons of copper. Yeah, your phone has got all that in it. Like all these cameras, mics, they all have it in them. Just the little connectors might just be thinly coated with gold.
Gotcha.
And along these lines, I feel like another major problem with affordability for the average person nowadays is, and I mean, I'm not the first to say this, plenty of other people have said this, but us going off of a gold standard, even I think even if we would have moved to like a silver standard or something instead of a gold standard, that would have made a lot more sense than, and I sort of see, not everything's a conspiracy. Like I can see the value of cards and paper money. You can carry more of it, that sort of thing. But the problem with that portability is there's always a downside to everything. So with portability, inflation becomes more of a problem. Whereas if we went back to a precious metal, you know, it's heavier. It'd be weird carrying around gold or silver or something like that. You're gonna
Yeah.
carry it in your pocket or in a coin purse or something.
Today's
Um,
prices, you wouldn't need a
yeah.
lot, really. It'd probably be less than the change in my pocket right now. To be
Out of curiosity, when did you buy? Are your properties here?
I have one property in Mississippi. I have my rental is in Georgia, and then I have a family house in Virginia. That's mine.
Who do you have someone, especially the ones that you don't really have quick access to? Do you
Hmm.
have someone helping you maintain?
Yes, yes, I
Okay.
do. Absolutely.
Do did you buy those properties before or after COVID?
I bought my place here before COVID. I bought the rental in Georgia after COVID, and the Virginia place just got signed over to me like 2 months ago.
So how did you? Ha, let me ask it this way: how do your property appraisal values change after COVID? How did they change?
Uh, my the only one I've really kept up on is my house here, and it's gone up a lot. Probably, I would say I probably doubled since COVID, but close to, if not
And see,
double.
that's amazing. I was talking to Kevin about this. I went through the process of selling a house, and but I had to buy one as well.
Mm-hmm.
And was telling him that if you were in a position to where you could just sell a property, say 2 years after COVID, you could have made a tremendous amount of money depending on, well, of course, depending on if you had it paid for or not. But
Right.
but like you said, if you had had that property paid for and decided to sell it, you could have made a lot of money.
Absolutely.
But
Y-
there again, most people are in a situation of having to have a home. So it was kind of a wash during that time for people who had to get another property. I told him I bought a house for $160,000
Mhm.
before COVID. 2 years later, I sold it for 200. 40% equity in that home. Uh, and I was tickled to death for that. But I had to turn around and put it in another property
Yeah.
to
mhm.
get it. So
Yeah, that's the tough part now. Every
Yeah.
time I think, "Oh, I could sell my house and make a lot of money," and it's like, "Well, no, then I have to buy another one." Yep, it's
That's
the
right.
new one's gonna be expensive, yeah.
That's
Yeah, I remember seeing a lot of news stories when the value of homes started rising along the lines of oh shoot, now I'm losing my train of thought. Today's just a losing train of thought kind of
that's
day.
right.
Um, where was I
You're
going
talking
with
about,
this?
losing value.
Yeah. I completely lost my place
No,
there.
you're good.
Yeah.
It'll come back. But yeah,
You said you own property here and in Georgia and where else?
Virginia.
I got you.
Yeah, that's where I'm from originally, is Virginia.
Is it hard managing the different properties in the different places, or do you just kind of have a
Well
system that you use to?
well, right now, so I only have one tenant, and that's in the Georgia place, and he's excellent. He's, like, the best tenant I've had out of all the tenants I've had. He's the absolute best. Uh,
Today,
he
it's kind of a crapshoot whether or not you're going to get a good.
Man, you don't know. I
Yeah,
bend over backwards to make sure this guy's happy. He doesn't even have to ask me. I just, because I want him there, because he'll literally pay his rent 2 weeks ahead of time,
oh yeah.
7 days,
Yeah,
8
that's
days
wow.
ahead of time.
that's
He's just
rare.
like, "Yeah, man, I had the money. I wanted to go ahead and send it to you." It's
Dude,
like,
you are lucky.
I was man, he grass stays perfect, everything is clean, he's got flowers planted, he loves it.
That's great.
So it's been great. So he keeps me informed, and, the reason I bought that place in Georgia, it's right next to my dad's place, and, so my dad keeps an eye on it for me. He doesn't charge me anything, and, it works out great. He knows a lot of people locally, and he was a roofer for like 25, 30 years. So
Sure.
he knows enough about construction and maintenance and stuff, and knows the right people to talk to when there's something to be fixed to get it done cheaply.
I think what I was gonna say along the lines of the home value thing is that a lot of news stories were saying that even though those home prices were rising, sort of like what y'all were talking about, nobody wanted to sell or move into something else because then they knew that their mortgage payment was going to go up or they were going to have to start paying rent. So I I don't know how many people took advantage of the recently higher home prices, but I remember them complaining that a lot of people seem to be staying put because, you know, if you have a 3% interest rate that you're paying here, why would you want to move to paying 7% over here? So,
Sure.
Yeah, that's one
um,
of the things that's gonna keep me in my house for a long time probably. I got in those good, pre-COVID interest
yeah,
rates.
same
Like, why
here.
would I sell it? I'm paying next to nothing for it. It's so cheap. Like, yeah, I'm gonna keep that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of those mortgage companies and banks are not experiencing a lot of growth as far as who's going to refinance a loan? Like you said, if you've got
Mhm.
3%, who's going to refinance it to 7 now? Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and I do think the average person is hurting more now than they were a
Oh,
few
sure.
years ago too. I mean, prices of everything. I heard, produce went up like 40% in a couple of months.
Right.
Everything's up, so it's, like, hard to convince people to spend to commit to long-term debt too when that's going on.
Sure. I told Kevin, and we've talked about this a little bit on other podcasts, but I was shocked. Uh, COVID in a lot of ways was an eye opener for me as far as not really the health industry, but commerce
Mhm.
and I was really I had no idea that so much hinged on every other thing. It was a domino effect, and uh, that was really shocking to me. I really thought that our country, really the world, was so big that you know a little minor inconvenience in one area wouldn't. It affects everything,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
and
It's all connected.
right, and just with shutting down, it's not just running out of a product. It's being able to not only start back up, but to catch up. We had cars, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cars that sat on lots that didn't have computer chips that were supposed to come from China, and it took forever to get those and get caught back up. It was just a real shocker to me. How did you Did you see anything like that happening?
Well, yeah, I mean, you mean beforehand?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I had never foreseen anything like that. No,
Yeah.
honestly, I'd never really thought about it. And then when it happened, it's like, oh, this is real. Yeah, like if you stop, if someone buys too much toilet paper for a week,
Yeah,
and
okay.
there won't be any toilet paper for months because the supply chains. Like,
Right.
what? Oh my god!
What year was that? We're gonna have to write history textbooks. The toilet paper panic of
2020.
2020.
Yeah.
That
I
was
mean,
the exact year.
That was right after we moved here. So we actually got really lucky, I think, moving here at the time because it was right before COVID. So we got the good price. And then it's much easier to be on lockdown here than it would be in California.
Sure.
It's just,
I feel like
I was
it's one of the thing it was only probably maybe last year was the first year since COVID that I didn't hear, at least from one business, that they were out of things due to COVID shortages.
Mhm.
And it took, I mean, you think we're 4 years removed from that, actually 5 now, but back the last time I heard that, it took years and years to recover from shortages on things, and I was blown away by that. I had no
Yeah.
idea that everything hinged on everything else like that.
yes. So
Yeah.
this is actually something I've been thinking about recently because of the tariffs. And the tariffs are causing other companies to fold and other countries to stop sending stuff here. I just read a thing the other day. Did I show you that, Kevin?
800 and below. We
Yes.
were talking about that.
25 countries just stopped sending packages to the United States, and not like little bitty countries like the UK, Germany, Australia. They won't send these small packages here that were tariff exempt, but with the tariffs, they're just like, we don't know, so we're just not going to send anything.
Yeah, you did show me that list. I know what you're talking about now. And yeah, me and Chris talked the other day, I think, about they implemented something with the tariffs that now anything uh costing $800 or below is no longer exempt from
Which honestly,
tariffs.
and we talked about that too, which honestly is basically shutting
Most
down
goods.
shipping,
Yeah.
shutting down shipping, period, because how many items are over $800?
Not much, laptops or
Majority.
something,
Sure.
there's not a whole lot. Yeah, high-end electronics.
Yeah, the
About
majority.
expensive they're shipping, yeah.
You would think the majority of items are $800 and less. So
Yeah.
that definitely, I would not try to defend that decision. Like that's to me, that's a strange decision. Well, I I I understand wanting to make things more fair with international trade. Like I definitely get that, but it's definitely a slippery slope. You have to be very careful how you do things. And like I've said before, I think you don't want to alienate or be hostile towards your allies, especially. Like I can understand tariffs on hostile nations, but ally nations, it's like, you know,
We're really doing a lot to turn our allies away for sure, and, yeah, um,
yeah, I don't know. I don't know like a historical reference point in the United States where we did something similar to this. So it's hard for me. I'll have to do some more research on that. It's hard for me to be able to point to another time in history where we did something similar. I'm sure there's been other times where we've adjusted tariffs, but off the top of my head, I don't know.
right, and honestly, as a consumer, it feels like another tax. It's like, "What? I've gotta pay another
Yeah.
30% on top? That's a tax." Like,
Right.
I'm already paying income tax, I'm paying the sales tax, I'm paying all these taxes. Why do I need to pay yet
Sure.
another tax?
See, that's part of that. I agree with that because, you know, and I think we've talked about this too. It's if you can't manage, if you can't appropriately manage 3 trillion, 4 trillion, $5 trillion worth of revenue that you're bringing in from companies, what's another trillion from tax? I mean, not that it's a lot of money, but if you haven't been able to manage the prior money, uh, what makes you think you're gonna better manage the
Yeah.
additional trillion?
And
And,
that's the one thing that I have not seen from my people on the right is that's more taxation without representation in a way, right? And that doesn't seem right. That's something I would think that I would see you guys standing up about more.
Yeah, I'm never, and Kevin is the same way. If I woke up tomorrow and someone said, "Hey, we're doing away with, I don't know, 90% of our taxes," I'm on board with that. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, um, if that was ever implemented, you're doing away with someone's paycheck that that makes those decisions. I still find it strange. Again, no matter who's in power,
Hmm.
I'll say this: no matter who's in power, uh, I can't stand that we have a representation that can vote themselves a raise.
Hmm.
I mean, that's completely odd to me. Uh, it's the inmates running the insane asylum,
A 100%.
and I can't. I don't know who decided that was a good choice or who decided that that was a good thing to do, but
I
it's
mean,
ridiculous. I mean,
this is the system that you get, and I'm not hating on attorneys and accountants, even though I sort of do hate on them all the time. But I mean, this is the sort of system you get when you elect nothing but attorneys and accountants. In my opinion, is they're going to skew just, and I'm sure any other profession would skew things in their favor. Like if we elected nothing but doctors, there'd be medical policies that would be in their favor. But to me, we've had, I guess, hundreds of years now, or since the forming of the United States, of mainly attorneys serving in powerful political offices. So
Yeah.
we just we need some more diversity there. People are diversity is a popular conversation. Well, let's get some diversity in who we elect to office.
and I don't know how y'all feel
And
about it, but right or left, it doesn't matter. Again, whichever side, it doesn't matter. If your net income or if your net worth grew a certain percentage while you were a public official, I
Hmm.
think you need to be investigated. I don't
Oh,
care who it
yeah.
is,
This is
because it doesn't matter which side it is. You don't go in, say, worth less than $1 million, and then in 20 years when you leave, you're worth 100 million. And you were a public official. We know how much you were making.
yeah.
Uh, I, it's not just suspicious; it's suspect. And I don't. How do you feel about that?
Oh, no, I agree
Yeah.
100%. Kevin and I, that's one thing we talk about a lot at work is that definitely I don't see any reason why Congress, the Senate, anyone in government should, at that level that gets to vote on laws that affect companies, should be able to invest in those companies. I mean, I would be fine if they were in some kind of broad fund or something, but I do not feel like they should be able to invest in companies that they can vote on policy that affects those companies.
See, I think the same rule that's in effect for the president, for the
Mhm.
executive office, you can't, even when a foreign country gives you a gift, you can't keep it. It has to stay.
Well, not anymore.
Well,
Not today.
it's got to
He can't
stay.
keep it
Right
now. He's keeping the jet from Qatar.
now, that's not his.
Yes,
He's
no,
not. He's
no,
not.
no, because he's gonna keep it when he leaves office. Also, the free jet, we're spending $1 billion of our tax money to renovate that jet, to bring it up to
how
standards, and it's not gonna even be done until he's out of office, is the last I read about the jet.
what enables him to be able to keep that jet potentially? Because I didn't think that he was able to
Because that's
keep.
a rule.
No, I agree 100%, but so is having a meme coin, so is selling shoes, watches, all that is emoluments. He's making money while he's in the office. He's standing in the Oval Office hawking Goya beans, man,
Well, I
Like,
disagree with that. Now, I like the man. I voted for him.
mhm,
I think that everything that I have seen him do to me has caused America to succeed, maybe with the exception of the way, like you talked about, some of the tariffs are going. And in this situation, I was not aware that uh, that was not going to stay with the people.
yeah.
But
No, it's not. It's not even gonna be done until after he's out of
sure,
office, so what's the point? He gets a free
sure.
jet. You know, so
Well, I
and
disagree with that if
he
that's
gets to
happening.
well, and yeah, and he has meme coins, like all the things he sells, the gold sneakers, the fake watches, all that stuff. And really, and from my perspective, I can only speculate, but all that looks like bribes to me.
Sure.
That's an easy way
Well,
for
that's
a
what's
country to bribe our president, and so
sure.
are the tariffs. The tariffs are a negotiation with a country or a market that he wants to get a bribe out of. That's kind of just be my personal feeling. It's all speculation. I don't
Sure.
have any evidence other than what I can see, but I really, yeah, I don't. Yeah, he's making a lot of money off being the president. His income, he's made a ton of money in these 8 months since he's been in office.
Well, even if you take away whatever income they make, which I'm sure we've all had this talk before, where I mean, we know they're coming out much wealthier than than they go in.
Yes.
But even if you remove actually being paid, just the ability to influence new policy and legislative change, you
What
know,
he says goes now. You guys have to feel like do you agree with that? Like if he says something, the all of the right in Congress, the Senate will jump on board,
he does have.
even if it's against their state's best interest.
I feel like that is the case. However, I feel like that runs on both sides as well. I mean, maybe not to
I mm, Nobody hates liberals more than liberals. Okay. And liberals have to be perfect for other liberals. Like, I'm not good enough for most liberals because I have old school views, because I believe in the law. So if the law
Sure.
says we do it, then that's what we do.
Sure.
And I'm not for any type of, I mean, beyond that. But if the law says we do it, then that's fine. How could I be upset about that as long as it's the law was voted on fairly and
Sure. I'll
everything?
say it this way. If there's a law prohibiting something, I'm not for my side breaking it, and as much as I'm not for your side breaking it,
Mhm.
for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, just the things that we're talking about today, I feel like the majority of rational, sane people
Mhm.
would agree with us. But like you said, I do agree that it's the extreme of both sides is what gets shown, and
Oh,
it gives you the
most
impression that the majority of the people feel that way,
mhm.
and which is probably not right. You know,
Yeah.
Honestly, the more we talk to each other, we realize we're like this far apart.
sure,
There's
sure,
just it's tiny stuff. The stuff that actually divides us is
Yeah.
mostly tiny stuff.
And
sure,
Now, the powers that be find way to get those big wedge issues, and that's what they push through. And then we feel like everyone is on one side or the other of the wedge, when really we're all just trying to make a living, feed our family, take care of ourselves, live a good life. Most of us, I mean, I'm sure there's bad actors and everything, but for the most part, most people are really close in what they want for the world.
There was a, I'm sorry, were you gonna say something, Kevin?
I was just gonna say, I definitely don't dislike Trump, but what it feels like to me lately, at least for the past decade or so, maybe even longer, but it feels like we keep overcorrecting to one side or the like we'll swing way to the right, then we'll swing way to the like what happened to the middle,
That's the
you know?
Yeah,
polarization. It's literally, we've become way more polarized with first cable news, and now internet just pushes people farther apart. And we spend more
Yeah.
time looking at our device and being like, oh my God, these people hate me.
It's
sure,
I got to hate them right back. Than actually talking to people and being like, okay, we're not that far apart. Like, I don't hate the guy. I don't hate
it's
them because they think we should be taxed one way or another. That's not a big
sure,
deal.
sure.
You know? The fascism stuff, that's when I'm like, I'm against all, not saying you guys are for that, but like we're getting a little far with some of what we're doing, right?
Sure, sure.
well,
It's
there definitely is, the militarization thing is a little strange.
more than strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, I think that Trump's a smart, despite what some people would believe, I think he's a pretty smart guy. But it's certainly odd and I don't know if they're still sending troops anywhere right now. I know they've sent
No,
some to
absolutely.
California.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
now they just ruled against, a judge just ruled in Newsom's favor that the military, when they deploy military in LA recently, that was illegal. And I think that's Newsom trying to jump in front of, because
Yeah.
they've said there's like 19 cities they're going to send the military to, that I saw that were all in the South, but now they're talking about Chicago big time.
Yeah, I was gonna
They
say
want to go to
Chicago seems to be
Chicago.
the next target. So,
So
and I
yeah,
mean, I don't get me wrong, I do like the idea of places becoming more safer, but using the military to make places safer is not a
you
great precedent
to
to
use
set.
use the military for war.
Yeah.
Don't put troops somewhere that I
Um,
mean, I know they come in and do some humanitarian stuff, but you don't use the army or the National Guard for cops. That's what
we
we have cops for.
yeah, and speaking of law enforcement, human, especially with, I don't know, not that we haven't always had extreme elements in society, but it seems like with all the craziness in the world today, we've got to figure out a way to make, our law enforcement capabilities more efficient. I don't know exactly what the solution is, of course, but we
On the flip side of that, let me ask you this:
Yeah.
what is your opinion of let's say no more National Guard is there in California? What is your opinion of do you think how do we handle the protesters that are keeping ICE from doing their job?
that's another interesting topic.
That should be up to, I mean, I'll be honest, ICE, they're all got guns on them, like, they can't protect themselves.
Well, here's the thing.
That's the whole, like, that's literally their job. That's like, you don't say the DEA needs, the Army to come in and help them bust a meth lab, you know? I don't think you need the Army to come in and help police or ICE if that's their job, you know?
Well,
And none of
there's an
them have
argument
been hurt. One of them got a Subway sandwich thrown at them, but none of them have been hurt that I'm aware of, you know?
there's an argument to be held for. Well, what about the people when we've seen the images, and I know that was extreme. I get that it's not like that everywhere. These cars driving by, and these guys are literally throwing boulders through the windshield. Um,
In a Boulder?
it's
No, I'm
happened
just
out.
saying.
Yeah,
Okay, so someone was
yeah,
throwing the rocks at ICE?
yeah. At their
Okay.
vehicles when they were
Okay,
pulling
I
through.
hadn't seen that.
To me, and
Mhm.
again, I'm a rational guy. I'm not for people getting hurt if they don't deserve it, for sure. If these guys drive by and they're throwing rocks through the windshield, are they justified in shooting?
If they feel that there's a credible threat, I mean, that's what like, part of my background that we hadn't talked about, but I was
Coast
in the
Guard,
Coast
yeah,
Guard for like 5.5 years.
I
Part of
got you.
my I was at a small boat station for a while, and I was actually a boarding team member. So we actually got trained like law enforcement style with pistols, which usually most of the military, they don't use pistols unless you're an officer or an MP, but we
mhm.
carried pistols when we were doing law enforcement patrols. And we were taught we could only use our weapon if our life was being threatened. So, they would have to, if that's, now if somebody just hit the car with a rock and it didn't break the window, keep going. I don't
Right,
think
right.
that's. But now if they're pelting the car with giant boulders and it's crashing the roof in, and they might have,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
and this is just my opinion, but my opinion on that is if you're facing the risk of serious physical injury and
hmm.
potentially death, then yeah, if it was me, I would get hostile
Now they
for
did
sure.
teach us to respond with greater force than we were met with, that we
Sure.
never fought a fair fight. So if they try and hit you with their fist, you use a baton. If they try and
Sure.
hit you with a knife, you pull out your gun.
Which to me, I feel like common citizenry is justified in doing that as well.
Right.
But
I would
I think
say that one thing on this that I would like to say is I'm thinking these ICE guys might need a little more training than what they're getting too. It looks like they're getting fast tracked, because if they don't know how to do their job when they're out there, then that's on them and in their organization. They need
sure.
to be trained better. It's like I understand we were trying to warp speed this thing, but like that's untrained officers on the street or poorly trained officers on the street is going to endanger the public
Oh,
just as
sure.
much as the criminals.
Sure. Well, I have the same viewpoint of I follow several uh, kind of watchdog groups that
Hmm.
will post videos, from even just regular cops and that
Hmm.
kind of thing. And honestly, I'll tell you the truth, I've had to stop watching a bunch of them because you get angry and there's really no outlet.
Hmm.
There's no e even the common law enforcement officer doesn't know most of the time what a citizen can do and what they can't.
Hmm.
Um, I could probably pull up videos from this week that will be posted from officers arresting people on the side of the road who were just videoing,
Hmm.
and that's a constitutionally protected right.
Yeah,
You can't be arrested for that.
no, you're not supposed to
Uh,
be.
and uh, small municipalities, small cities, that kind of thing, small towns are having to pay huge sums of money to people
Hmm.
who sue for that, and they'll collect because they're in
Oh
the
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And I don't know how you feel about this either, but in a lot of these instances, I wish that qualified immunity would go away. When they are in the wrong, they deserve to have to foot some of that bill. How do
Well,
you feel about
my
that?
personal feeling, I agree with that, and my personal feeling is law enforcement should have to carry insurance the same way a doctor does. If they perform
Liability.
malpractice,
Yeah,
of their job, of their duties, then it should come out of their insurance. And once they become uninsurable or it costs too much for them to be able to afford the insurance, then they need to find another job.
Sure.
when it comes to this, switching back to the people throwing stuff at ICE, a part of me wonders how many of these are like paid protest type
There's
situations.
Some of
there's
that
gonna be
too.
that like because I don't know about the ICE thing, but part of me feels like this National Guard thing is they're waiting. They want somebody to take a shot at them. It's like a dare, we're daring the
Yeah.
people on the street because then they can say, see, look, they shoot soldiers that are just trying to protect them. It's like,
Well, on the flip side of that, I started to mention that just a second
mhm,
ago. On the flip side of that, I think part of the reason I feel like Trump is sending in National Guard and those kind of things is he's afraid something like that may happen, and the optics of that just would not be good. I don't. Let's say you turn on the news tomorrow,
mm,
and in a protest, uh, a protester that may have legitimately been doing something that deserved being shot at.
mhm.
If they shoot at him, I really, in a lot of instances, don't think it matters whether or not it was justified. There's going to be a lot of blowback from that.
Oh yeah. And
Mm, it can be, yeah.
in the
It
event
would.
that any
Could be.
sort of military or
Oh,
law enforcement has to use
if
force,
shots go
it's
in either direction, it's gonna be the biggest
yeah,
thing in the last 100 years.
Sure,
yeah.
sure,
It was gonna be just gigantic.
sure.
Yeah. But, also, I mean, we're really getting into a states' rights issue here too,
Right, right.
when we're talking about the president telling states what to do inside of their state and how to police their streets. Like,
Yeah,
we're
it's
just taking away the states' rights. Like, to me, and now everyone has their own interpretation of the Second Amendment, but to me, the National Guard is part of that well-regulated militia from the Second Amendment, and that's for the states in case the federal government becomes tyrannical to
yeah,
defend themselves.
I highly
I
agree with
don't
you on
believe the
that.
Fed should be able to just mobilize those troops against their own state or another state.
Yeah, one of the things that I think is
I
being
agree.
debated right now, and I think that this is part of the ruling that the judge just came down with that is going to go to a higher court, is that sure the executive branch has power to deploy,
Mhm.
but it has to be requested.
Mhm.
And they're trying to say that, which right or wrong, I'm not saying
Mhm.
anyone's right or wrong, whatever the law reads is right, but uh, that he is actually forcing them on the state when they didn't ask for it.
Yes.
So
And
yeah,
many times they're saying, "No, please don't come here." Yeah.
Yeah.
right.
To me, I mean, in the past, I mean, the National Guard's been deployed plenty of times. I was in the Army National Guard for 9 years. But anyway, typically in the past, they would be outside of a combat zone deployment, they would be deployed to handle a natural disaster type situation.
Yeah, like
So
FEMA stuff,
yeah,
sure,
it
but
it
not as
has
a military
yeah.
unit. Yeah.
This has been weird for sure. It's been weird, and to your point, I like what you said about the well-regulated militia is supposed to being in defense of the state. I guess where the problem with the National Guard thing and is, you know, federal money, I guess, anytime somebody's able to collect some of their budget from the federal government, then I guess the federal government believes that they, have ultimate control over that entity. And I guess that's part of the problem. I mean, but at the same time, you want these people to be able to make a decent paycheck and make a decent living. So if you take the federal funding away and only the state's funding them, they're probably going to be paid poorly. So
I
what do you
got
do?
I got a question. I kind of feel like I kind of feel like you'll agree with what Kevin and I think about this, but how much is too much to you on our deficit?
I don't have a number. I'll be honest with you. I don't. Yeah, I don't have a number on that. I don't know. I know that it going up is bad, and I know it's in a terrible place. I get all that, but I don't know what it's supposed to be at. I don't actually have a theory.
Yeah, I was talking to Kevin not long ago, and I think that a lot of these figures are just kind of over my head as far as I do know that if I was $37 trillion in debt, I would be in jail
Well,
somewhere. But
37 is like that's the number that people use the most, but really and truly, if you go and look at that national debt clock, it's over 100
yeah,
trillion.
yeah, yeah.
And the with me, kind of like you were saying, to me, it's not that there's a number necessarily that you have to achieve. Although getting back to somewhere closer to zero would be nice, or even if we were 20%, 30% to 50% in debt, that would be much healthier than where we are now. But um we should not be losing, or the government should not be losing more than they are bringing in every quarter and
Sure.
every year.
Yes.
That is what you have to stop. you know,
Which is ridiculous for anyone on its
yeah.
face.
No business would survive doing
No,
that indefinitely.
no.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was something that was shocking to me. With raising the debt ceiling this year was really shocking to me. I was not expecting that.
Well, the thing is, that's going to be something that has to perpetually be done unless we start bringing in more than we're spending. In my estimation, the least that we could do is make sure that it doesn't go up anymore. If we no matter if you have to make cuts across the board, I'm good with that as long as we're not raising it. Even if we just which to me, even staying in one spot, not going down or up is unsustainable. But we could at least make it to where it's not going up.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, we're a very large economy. So there's no simple answer per
Yeah,
se.
Right.
no part of the government is willing to give up their
Yeah.
Oh,
piece of
sure.
the pie.
Yeah,
It's
Sure.
like, okay, where does
that's the
it come
biggest.
from? Really, because is it going to come from the military? Nobody wants to cut the military, even though
Yeah.
we could realistically cut it quite a bit and still spend
Right.
spend way more than the rest of the world.
Yeah. No,
That's where we're getting crazy, honestly. I mean, I'm
yeah.
all for strong military, but we already spend more than like the next, what, 5, 6 nations combined, maybe
Right.
more. It's like, who are we gearing up to
Sure.
fight? We're not in a war, but we constantly spend like we are.
Sure.
Yeah. No, I mean the defense budget gets brought up a lot because people know that it's high. But yeah, it's ultimately it's a game of you give it up, no, you give it up, no,
Mhm.
you lose your slice of the pie, not me. So um but anyway, I we've I think we've had a pretty long talk today. So we probably better uh start wrapping up here so Jack can have some time to do what he needs
I
to do.
enjoyed
But
having you today.
Yeah, yeah, thanks, guys. It's been a lot of fun.
yeah, thanks for coming. Enjoyed having
Yeah,
you.
anytime.